9 people died yesterday from the water. 5 children and 4 elderly people.
And as flood waters begin to recede in some communities, the destruction remains widespread. Homes and businesses have been damaged while transport and economic activities continue to be disrupted. Also ahead, a Joy News research reveals Ghana has secured nearly $1 billion in international financing for flood control, sanitation and urban water infrastructure over the past 2 decades. Yet, recurrent floods continue to expose major implementation and governance failures. We'll also be taking you to Parliament for the very latest on this disturbing flood that devastated parts of the Greater Accra region. The pulse is brought to you by Defendro Cough Expectorant. Defendro, breathe easy, feel better. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. See you in a moment. Welcome to the program. Let's begin from Parliament, where the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, has been briefing the House on the casualties that were recorded as a result of yesterday's torrential rains.
Honourable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favour upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in their sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic, endow members of Parliament,
To the House of Legislature, where I mentioned earlier, the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, has been briefing the House. He has been talking about the casualties, the persons that have been affected, the persons that have been displaced, and the relief that the government is currently providing. Let's take you back to Parliament again. Right, so the Minister has been given some figures in Parliament, and he says that 7,761 households have so far been affected by the floods. He says that 38,802 persons have currently been displaced. He also says that 7 persons are missing and at least 12 are dead. We can listen to the Minister for the Interior.
Ghana East, we had 2,000 persons being displaced, and that's 400 households. We had 6 missing individuals and 5 deaths from Ghana East alone. Lotukuku, we had 1,200 displaced with 240 households, 1 missing and 3, Lotukuku, there was no missing person, but we had 1 death. Ayawaso Central, 3,021 persons were displaced, and that's 605 households. We had 1 person missing and then 3 deaths. The Speaker, Ghana Central, 1,811 individuals were displaced, 363 households. We didn't have any missing or dead person. Ghana West, equally, we didn't lose anybody and nobody got missing. But the number of persons that were displaced were 2,300 and then 460 households. Ablekuma North, 651 displaced, 131 households, no missing or dead person. Ablekuma, Nungo Pram Pram, 1,377 displaced, 276 households. Wejabawe, 2,500 households, 2,500 individuals, 500 households. Ghana South, 2,100 displaced, 420 households. Adenta, 1,850, 370 households. Kolekote, 6,500 displaced, amounting to 1,300 households. Okankwe South, 701 displaced, 141 households. Okankwe North, 2,620, and then 524 households. Tema West, we had 690 households displaced with 3,450 individuals displaced. Tema Metropolitan Assembly, we have 721 households displaced, which affected 3,601 individuals. In the case of Tema West, we had 3 persons that lost their life. La Dade Kotopong, we had 404 households displaced, amounting to 2,020 individuals. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, Krowo, we had 220 households displaced and 1,100 individuals displaced without any death. Mr. Speaker, when you put all these numbers together, we have a total of 7,761 households that were displaced, with 38,802 individuals affected, with 7 persons still missing as of this morning, because, Mr. Speaker, I've been at the Finance Committee in the past 3 hours. I've not been able to read my briefs this afternoon. I don't know whether many more have been found, but 7 people as of this morning were displaced, and the total death are 12 individuals that we lost. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to send our condolences and that of government and the people of Ghana to the families that lost their family members, and we assure them we are with them in this difficult moment. We know many people could not be in their homes and even sleep in their homes, but government is doing whatever it can. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll mention some information from Central Region that also happened last 2 weeks, which I have the details. In Central Region, Mr. Speaker, last 2 weeks, we had 58 houses that collapsed. And for those of us who are very familiar with Central Region and the kind of houses, because of the mud houses, some of them are the bricks, some of the houses were over 100 years old, but these were the districts and how they were affected. Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly lost 20 houses, Gomwa East 2 houses, Gomwa West 1 house, AOB 2 houses, Aguna East 7 houses, Gomwa Central 1 house, Tufu Ahima Lower Dentra 6 houses, AAK 4 houses, Mfansiman 5 houses, Asin South 1 house, Asin North 7 houses, Efutu 2 houses. And Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, there too we lost 18 individuals as per the report that was sent to me. In Cape Coast, death by building collapse 5, death by drowning 1, Gomwa Central, death by building collapse 1, death by drowning 1, Mfansiman, death by building collapse 2, death by drowning 1, Tufu Ati Monkwa, that's TAM, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre West, death by drowning 3, Aguna West, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre East, death by drowning 2. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, I also have some information from Volta region. Volta region, the number of communities that were affected were in excess of 60 communities. I must admit, based on the information that we have, they were not life-threatening, situation in the case of Volta region, but the districts that were affected were Keita, and it has 7 communities that were affected. Anlo had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu South had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu North had 6 communities that were affected. South Tong had 8 communities that were affected. Akati had 9 communities that were affected. Gotiman Zokwe had 6 communities that were affected. Adakulo had 2 communities that were affected. Central Tongue had 3 communities that were affected. North Tongue had 2 communities. Host municipalities had 8 communities that were affected. Mr. Speaker, the same can be said of Western North, where in Samraboy we had a number of communities that were sunk. In fact, we had in excess of over 1,200 persons that were displaced in the Samraboy and its environs. Mr. Speaker, in the nutshell, to say that this was something that was a difficulty for us as a country. I must admit, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the statistics that we received from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, it clearly states that in the month of June, we normally expect a lot of rains. But what happened yesterday gave us 169.2 millimeters of water. And this is the 4th largest volume of water in a day since 1995. And for the month of June, we had a total in month of June of 593.2 millimeters of water. And Mr. Speaker, is the highest our country has ever received in its history in 1 month, 593.2. The closest was in 2002, and that was 420.6 millimeters. And the other one was 2015, 380.3 millimeters. And these statistics, Mr. Speaker, I'll make it available for the House, are the things that, so it clearly shows that, yes, the human activities, pouring, refuse into our drain, building on waterways, all contributed. But naturally, it clearly shows that even if we had everything right, the kind of rains that we received in June and yesterday will have necessarily created some overflow and created some problem for us. Mr. Speaker, what have been government interventions since we got to know that we were going to run into crisis? Mr. Speaker, you realize that the Minister of Interior gave an alert and advisory to all citizens, especially in and around Accra, to stay home. And we're able to do this very early. Mr. Speaker, we believe that that has contributed largely into minimizing the kind of crisis that we could have had. Because if all persons around that rush hour were in traffic where they could not turn around and other things, and worst case, maybe fire gutted into it, maybe we'll have been counting much losses than we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, there were a number of fires that also came with yesterday's rain. We have the Odona market that there a lot of makeshift structures were burnt. We also had fire in Tema. We had, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I want to give some of the statistics that we received. Odona market, yes, the fire came in around 8:08 in the morning, just around the peak of the rain, and we did all we could, but it came under control at 11:33, almost midnight, and we're able to finally put it off around 2:32 a.m. this morning. The Speaker, we also had fire in Tema, but fortunately, it wasn't. We didn't lose any life. It wasn't also very severe because we were able to deal with it. There was also a newly built 4-floor house that collapsed. Fortunately, at Tabola, fortunately, no life was lost because all the occupants left the building before it collapsed. Mr. Speaker, all these statistics since yesterday, His Excellency the President of the Republic had to fly over to see the extent of the damage, and this morning, graciously, last night, the President instructed that from their contingency fund, we should be able to access some money. And I'm happy to state, I know the Finance Committee may come and brief the floor and give much details. A total amount of 350 million is being targeted to be used to help in dealing with the challenges that we have. Mr. Speaker, the President has instructed that 200 million will be targeting relief items to this close to over 10,000 households that have been affected across the whole coast, and the 150 will be used to mitigate the flood issues within this the coastal area. Now, Speaker, I must admit, when you look at Act 927, that's the National Disaster Management Organization Act. When you look at Section 21 of the Act, it clearly stipulates the Disaster Management Committee. And in the Disaster Management Committee, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, we have almost all the relevant agencies being there, and it is chaired by the Minister for the Interior. As we speak, a meeting has been called at the presidency involving all these ministers to come so that we put our heads together and make sure that we deal with the issue. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, Section 21, National Disaster Management Committee. There is established a National Disaster Management Committee. The National Disaster Management Committee, subject to subsection 3, comprises A, the Minister for the Interior as chairperson, Director General, that's for the Director Generals of the NADMO, that's National Disaster Management Committee, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Director General of the National Ambulance, the Chief Directors of each of the following ministries: Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Ministry of Information and Media Relations, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chairperson of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, Climate Change Management, one representative of the Consortium of Non-Governmental Organizations, one representative of the Interagency Standing Committee of the United Nations Country Team, one representative of the Ghana Federation of Disabled, and the legal officer of the National Disaster Management Organization as secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are of the view that we don't need to only go there with our chief directors. We want the ministers themselves to be there with the support of their chief directors, so that we give it the necessary attention that it requires. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure this House that these resources that is being extended to this committee will make sure that it is put to the best of use. We have even started the move with the acting defense minister that we should put our 48 engineers regiment in place to use the resources in making sure that all those clearance that needs to be done is done by the 48 engineers, so that we do not have to waste time in going through procurement challenges and all that. So we'll be using our own military to carry out as much as possible all they can be able to do. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, we've lost 12 lives, which is very unfortunate. I want to believe that as a country, we probably have to work very hard to ensure that we minimize these losses. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on one of our prominent media houses, and I said, disasters will always come. It is how prepared you are that will determine the the amount of loss that may be occurred. Because, Mr. Speaker, today, and I'm saying it not to water down the effect, but just to draw all of us attention that America is the richest country in the world. And one of its richest states is California. California state is the richest state in America. In fact, standing on its own, is the 6th largest economy in the world. Yet they had disaster and people lost their life. But they have all the money, they have all the measures. We are not using this as an excuse. Water will always come, but we must do what we can as people. And we are looking at this as a whole of government and a whole of society approach. We are looking at it as a whole of government and a whole of society approach, where individuals will have to take their responsibility, assemblies have to take their responsibility, those of us in government will have to take our responsibility and work very hard to ensure that we do not lose life unnecessarily. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the House for the audience, and I hope that in our contribution we will make sure that we do not degenerate this into politicking when our people are dying and people really need relief. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, leaders, how many comments each are we taking? In view of the fact that we have other two statements on a similar subject matter.
Mr. Speaker, just before we agree on the number, if the minister can give us a copy of the statement he just read. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we had agreed that.
Honourable members, the background noise is too much.
We had agreed that we will take two statements on the same subject matter. One from the chairman of the Works and Housing Committee, and then one from, Water and Sanitation Committee, and then one from the former Minister for Works and Housing.
Yes.
Speaker, with respect, the minister came under Order 91 of the rules of this House. 93. Well, whichever rule you came under, the provisions are very clear. There must be prior approval from Speaker, which suggests that Speaker would have seen a copy of the statement and approve or state that it complies with. Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, I submit that there is no formal ministerial statement. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are here. The leaders, 5 here, 5 here. At least, members should have copies of this ministerial statement. Mr. Speaker, at a point, the minister delved into politics. He moved away from whatever formal statement and was now raising very controversial issues. So he should make available the copy of the statement which was approved by you. Let us have printed copies, or even soft copies should be put on the console, so that members who want to contribute will properly anchor their submissions. We don't want situations where you would come and say you didn't say this and somebody is misconstruing you. So make it available. Mr. Speaker, you have always been insisting on the rules. But if a cabinet minister decides to take the law into his own hands, Mr. Speaker, the entire House will be watching the pronouncement that will come out from the presiding officer. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we can excuse the minority leader for all the things that he has said, because he was late. He came into this chamber after we had commenced proceedings, and he came much after we had sought your permission in the absence of a formal written statement, given the exigencies of the times, for the minister to make a statement to the House. A statement need not be written. A statement need not be written. But in any case, the Speaker dispensed with those requirements and granted the minister the permission. And I expressly stated when making the application to the minister that the statement was not ready. I made that statement, that it wasn't ready. But the matter is so urgent that he should grant leave for the minister to make the statement. And he did grant leave for the minister to make statements. And the statement has been very rich, a lot of facts, details, dates, incidents that have occurred, the locations where the incidents have occurred, and the moment when the statement is made, every member is supposed to, in silence, listen. And having listened, you are deemed to have received copies of the statements because you have heard every single sentence. You have heard every single sentence. You have become aware. You have become aware of the facts. The facts. Because the statement is about facts. And you have become aware of the facts. And so, having become aware of the facts, if the Speaker now gives us the opportunity to comment, you can comment on the basis of what you have heard. That is perfectly the practice in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, like I indicated, we had agreed that the two statements will be taken. The one by the chairman of Sanitation and Water, and then the former Minister for Works and Housing. So let's have those ones. After that, we can comment on the statements.
Honourable members, as a matter of fact, every parliament, leadership guides the person who is presiding, and issues are carried out by consensus. So when issues of this nature crop up and the leaders available reach some consensus based on which the act is taking place, I am personally worried to place on record that the whole world will be listening to the ruling that will come from Mr. Speaker. If the House has agreed to do an act, must I rule on that? So, Honorable Minority Leader, before you came, there was some consensus on both House. Honorable Anodompre raised the issues that you have raised, but at the end of the day, there was an agreement that the minister be given the opportunity to make the statement, irrespective of the fact that the procedure has not been followed. He even indicated that as masters of our own rules, we could allow him to do so based on the exigency of the event. So this was what really happened. Yes?
With respect, I think my leader is on all fours right. The issue I raised are substantially different from what my leader is raising. I had raised issues on procedure, and Speaker, you had concluded that yes, we are masters of our own rules, and hence he could be allowed. My leader is raising a matter concerning where the leader has veered off, the minister has veered off into other matters, which will generate controversy and debate. So, Speaker, he is setting the stage, and we want fairness. So when we are contributing to the statement, and there are instances where we are referring to the instances he referred to, we should not be described as generating debate or controversies. That is the point, and that is the crux of the matter.
I have listened to the leader, and you've also listened to the leader. Leader is demanding a copy of the statement. Am I right or wrong?
We shouldn't, with respect to you, we shouldn't overly simplify the matter. It was not just a demand of a copy of the statement.
Yes, so...
He also raised a concern, Speaker, he also raised a concern that the honourable member, the minister, veered off and said other things. In fact, we took copious notes of what the things he said. So when we are making references and we are contributing and we make these references, yes, we hope that we will not be described as veering off and being offensive of the rules.
By our rules, where you feel the minister veered off, you can draw my attention. I will ask leader to withdraw or order that same be expunged from the record. And that should be the application made to me.
proceed. We want to make progress. Our man is also ready.
No, but I want us to agree on these things. You can make an application to me that on ABCD, you feel the minister veered off. So you want the minister to withdraw. If he fails to withdraw and I feel that it's something that should not go into the record, I can direct that same be expunged from the record. But that was not the application before me. Yes.
Speaker, my issue was basically that the minister at the dispatch box submitted that upon receiving warning from Accra Metro that in June,
you've been listening to proceedings from Parliament where the MPs have been debating on what the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, told the House a while ago. He's been given some grim figures. He says that at least 12 persons have so far lost their lives, and he says that 7,761 households have been affected, and also 38,802 persons have so far been displaced. And he says that as we speak right now, 7 persons have also been missing. They're yet to be found, and said that rescue operation is currently underway by the relevant authorities to try and see if they can rescue the individuals who are yet to be found since this flood devastated parts of the capital yesterday. So you've been listening to that proceedings from the House, and right afterwards we had the minority leader and the majority leader also pass their statements after the statement by the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak. May the souls of those who lost their lives rest in peace, and may their memories be a blessing. Let's come back to the studio now, because from Alajo to Circle, families are wading through mud-filled homes trying to salvage what remains of their belongings and food supplies. Traders who built their livelihoods one stall at a time are now searching through debris for anything spared by the floods and fire. Meanwhile, personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service and NADMO remain on the ground assisting displaced residents and assessing communities in need of emergency shelter and relief. Let's begin from Alogboshi, where residents say 11 bodies have been retrieved from flood waters. And according to them, the victims include 5 children and 4 women. And one man who witnessed all of that for us is Fatal Bayaga. He's joining me in the studio this afternoon to tell us a bit more on that. And also joining me in the studio is Ramat Bashiru, who has been on the beat for us all day. She was at Odona Circle yesterday. She's been back there today too. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Fatal, I want to begin with you. What happened at Alogboshi when you visited today?
Ken, the destruction was glaring across the community as residents still try to count their losses. In fact, many of them have their homes submerged in flood waters. Some of their belongings swept away by the flood waters. And the pain, the struggle was palpable as they still try to recount this devastating incident. In fact, they tell me that they've not seen this for a very long time. In fact, some of them even said they've not witnessed anything like this. And they are attributing this or hinging this on the fact that the drainage system within the community is, done poorly. Apart from that, refuse have taken over almost every part of the community, and that is causing or leading to the worsen floods that they experienced in that area, yesterday. And they told me that, Ken, that they retrieved 9 bodies yesterday, right, from the flood waters, which include, just like you said, 5 children, 4 women, and today, this morning, they also retrieved a woman and her child from the flood waters again. And this particular situation, they describe it as something that is deeply worrying, and they want the authorities to take urgent steps, get into the community, dredge the drains, expand them in order to address this particular situation. We can take a listen to them.
Yesterday, there was not any NADMO officials around because during that time, I don't think there is a space for anyone to drive through this very flood. So we did the work ourselves. So after the rain, and we managed to call the police, not even the NADMO, we called the police. So they were the one who came to our rescue to come for the dead bodies. And, you know, from there, even this morning, we saw one dead body, so, a lady with her child at the dam.
They were also dead.
Yeah.
It's wrong. More media phone. I'm from two platforms. So no more. Sell Bush. They never better. We see that. Nipan 9. As to now 11. It's too much. Men got an hour. Men got an hour. As soon as so by me, because engineer is mass calculation is a between the country. We me. Into your access and flu cry.
We the toy and run there. See beer. And we are dimpa. Ya gari bibia say. Ya ni ma dey be crisis here.
Gota no so ayekete o ma gota kete bia maye. Enti so ni to a na ajiri aha ni nyina wo ba ha ti say impu say unse na impu ete no sa na ete wa ha no no obi ba wewu nipa mienu nipa ba ko ni ba mienu ewu condemn sister fufuro so obi ewu obi wo ho no ni nyama ni nyina akọ one person sorry and pants person and not the sorry.
I still have Fatal Bayaga and Ramat Bashir with me in the studio. Fatal, they spoke in Chi. What were they saying?
So basically, they spoke about how devastating the flooding was and how it affected them. Some of them said that they did not experience something like this until yesterday. Apart from that, they also said that some people, in fact, lost almost everything. The last woman who spoke, in fact, this woman was filled with anger as she spoke to me. And in fact, she said that there's this woman who lost almost everything, right, in her room. And it's because of the flooding situation. Some of them, basically, you heard from them, they say that the drainage system within the community is unable to contain the huge volumes of water that flow through that area. So they want the authorities to expand that in order that it's able to contain the flooding situation so that going forward, we wouldn't experience anything like that.
You were at Alogboshi today. Yesterday, you were at Alajo.
Yeah.
I mean, the past 2 days, you've been very busy on the road. Give me an eyewitness account of what you saw yourself.
Yesterday, in fact, when I got to Alajo, Ken, almost everywhere was inundated with floodwaters. In fact, myself, I had to, go into the water because I wanted to tell the story of people who were, virtually trapped in their homes and they needed support at the time. Because the time that I got there, I hadn't seen any, official trying to support them. And then later, some officials came and they said they were going to, go into the homes and to get these people out. But Ken, people's homes were submerged in floodwaters. I got into someone's home, his room. In fact, the mattress was literally floating in floodwaters. His television set, other gadgets were destroyed by the floodwaters. There were some other people who had to, run. In fact, some of them were standing on story buildings. Just that they are safe from this particular flooding situation. If you know Alajo so well, so from Kotobabi to Alajo, so if you there's some bridge that connects these two communities. The bridge was entirely submerged in water. I couldn't see anything. In fact, today when I got to that same place and I saw the bridge, I was like, this is really surprising. In fact, there was this woman who was in tears. The reason, she said, her shop, all the items were gone. Apart from that, her home, everything inside her room was submerged in water. Her children, they do not even know where to sleep. So later that some officials from the NADMO came, they said they would take them to, or they would give them some shelter and all of that. But Ken, the pain was really glaring on the faces of many people who struggled through this particular situation. And I witnessed something that was disheartening. 2 people in one family lost their lives because they were electrocuted during the flooding situation. So at the time, when the flood waters intensified, what I was told is that one of the guys, he said he wanted to go inside his room to put off his gadgets. When he got into the room, you know, flooding and water, they don't really meet.
Yeah,
if that's the right word to use. So when he got into the room, there was already some kind of the electricity was already interfering with the water. So, you know, at that point he was shocked. They heard screams. People heard him crying for help, but they couldn't do that because if they had gone inside, they could have also lost their lives. 2 people in one family lost their lives. Just a few meters from that family too, another person died through the same thing. So it was really very devastating.
Right. It was devastating indeed. I'll come back to you, Fatal, but as I mentioned earlier, I also have Ramat Bashir with me in the studio. She's been on the beat for us, covering the Addo area around Circle. Ramat, I have seen, the disturbing visuals of how flooded the whole of Circle was yesterday. Tell us about the situation today. Has the water receded?
Ken, so far when we visited the place this morning, largely you could observe that the flood waters have largely receded, making it possible for the traders and also the service officers and other officials who were on ground to be able to get to the particular spot where the fire incident occurred. That's the Odona rubber factory. And so that was the situation yesterday. Yesterday, we understand that firefighters were on ground trying their possible best to go to the exact place the inferno was to bring the blaze under control. But because the road leading to that particular spot, they were completely submerged. And so the place was inaccessible for these firefighters. And so for close to 12 hours, the fire kept on spreading to other parts of the market. And so when it happened that way, because they were on ground in the morning, what they tried to do is to rescue the people who were trapped in their homes by the floodwaters. I must say that the particular rubber factory and the market where the inferno or the fire incident occurred, that particular spot, there are about 6 or 5 buildings away from where the June 3 disaster occurred. And so you can understand how these people were feeling. A lot of people came out from their rooms just so they are saved, and others also, ordinary people, risking their life to jump into these waters to rescue people who were trapped. Resources were one of the challenges that they were facing yesterday. And so we had the MP for the constituency, Zanato Ajama Rollins, coming in with extra items to aid with the operations by the fire fighters, the marine police, and all of that. But the people were really, really stranded. They did not know what to do. People who did not know what to do also had to climb to story buildings just to ensure that they are saved. And so there were ropes that these firefighters, together with other officials, used to ensure that these people came out. And so today, when we went back to the scene, we noticed that the fire is where the fire occurred. It's divided. The market is divided into sections. Largely, where the people were affected are those who sell the plastic material. They sell dustbin, tea rolls, and some of the major plastic materials that we know. And so these people were largely affected. But when you get to the other side, there are people who also sell food items. And because this situation was a flood and fire situation, all these people too were completely affected. You could see their items being destroyed. When I spoke to them, they told me that they do not even pick anything. They don't know what to do now, because when you visit the floor or when you visit the scene, the evidence of the disaster is still there. Debris all around, scattered items. Some of them said it's an unimaginable situation for them, and so they do know what to do now. Basically asking that immediately if they can get some kind of support from government.
We can have a look at what Ramat Bashir found when she visited Odona today.
After several hours of efforts by firefighters together with marine police and other service personnel to tame an inferno at the Odona Rubber Market. The road leading to the particular spot where the incident happened yesterday was inaccessible for firefighters to get in there to bring the blaze under control. However, today, as I speak to you, largely the flood waters have receded and traders together with the fire service personnel have been able to get in there to assess the extent of damage. Many of the traders, I must say, are still counting their losses. It came to them as a surprise because they say they do not know what to do. But as I speak to you, the National Disaster Management Organization have gathered here 2 stands. They are registering people who are affected by the flood incident, and the other stand those who are also affected by the fire incident. They tell us that they are hoping that immediately as possible, they will get some kind of support from government. And so this is the registration exercise you can see behind me. Thousands of these traders who are affected have gathered, and also we understand from the National Fire Service that over 200 stores and shops were disrupted by this particular incident. Many more of the affected traders coming in here to register. Some of them tell us that they were unable to pick any items of theirs, and so we are still engaging them to also ask them more questions about what they need immediately, because obviously they have to return to business. And so, madam, let me engage you. How has it affected your what do you sell?
I sell rice, beans, soap, oil, all condemned.
So you didn't pick anything?
Nothing. And Pampers, all nothing. Condemned.
And so now, what are you doing about the situation? Now you have nothing of yours. What are you doing about this situation?
We are looking for our president to come and tell something about you.
Immediately, what kind of support do you think that the government, together with other people, can help you market women?
I don't have any support too.
What do you think they should support you with immediately?
We need money to do our markets.
So that's exactly her concern. Now, there is nothing more they can do about the situation. I'm trying to engage more of the market women who are still coming in here to register. NADMO tells us that so far they've been able to register over 150 people so far. Mommy in Patrol also
me beans 10 bags. Any Nigeria 4 bags.
Mommy beans 10 bags, Nigeria 4 bags. Nebo be saying.
What to say? 140.
140 bags. And I say. Ejuma we no eno na wo de hwe wo mba na wo de
na me di hwe me ma me di hwe me family. Ni na me fashi.
To see abanisa den na wo be ya.
Mi den na me ye. Mi ni hwe Sikapo ni ona mi di bekwa akoto kakra po na mi di aba be hwe table so na mi ye kakra mi biashi mi nyashi egu sese ya anka mu be take anka mi di mu be kwa akoteki.
And so that's her also experience this affected trader is telling us. You know, this market, in as much as it's largely dominated by plastic rubber sellers, there are also other women who sell other items. And so that's the extent of damage some of these items have caused them. Many more of them sitting down here, very sad atmosphere here. They do not really know what to do next. Some of them have been crying for close to some hours now. Speaking to them, they tell us that now they don't know what to do, and so that's a worrying situation here on ground. Yesterday even the road leading to this particular spot was inaccessible. As you can see, the NADMO officials are still trying their best to register the people who are affected by this inferno. I'm trying to get closer to the Deputy NADMO Director and see if she can
have a word with us. So far, how has the registration process been so far? Just the registration process. How has it been so far? Absolutely. She says she needs instructions from her director before she can tell us something. But these are more of the affected traders who are gathered here, and we would want to engage them to ask them the extent of damage this particular spot or this particular incident has caused them. I spoke to this woman earlier. She tells me that everything of hers has been destroyed. And so right now, what do you sell?
Rubber boss ne bi na meton wa ha se meton odo na market ha se enura ye bibia shi imagine say obi kita store be 5 6 7 obi kura 20 me say me kita 5 bibia shi drebe mantumi amfa atre mpo mantumi amfa inti yesra ban se ombra meboa yesre no ono na ye ni da so sesia nkrofo sika nkrofo loan e na ye di adwuma wa ha se bibia shi inti yesre no ye dan no ye papa any titiri for no mo Ghana ha se wo pese to me beboa ye bia o to me ba beboa ye odo na market because about time for ye bre o ye kita nkola na da kro be sole se wo be adwuma wa betu se wo bibia shi se na be ya wo be ya bobra anasa wo betumi ahwe wo mampo enti ye sere omo ye sanda ye san yem se omo mbra no mo twa omo ani be hwe ye da omas.
And so that's her concern. Mommy Patricia Frose.
Me Grace.
Auntie Grace is telling us that she lost almost everything of hers. She couldn't even pick anything. And she says she owes 5 shops. Everything was salvaged by the fire incident yesterday. She came in here to register with the National Disaster Management Organization with the hope that governments will immediately intervene and support them with some relief items and some money for them to go back to business. But obviously, this is the extent of damage this inferno has caused many, hundreds, and have rendered many of them homeless. People who also reside this place are also affected, and so that's exactly what is happening here. We'll continue to monitor the situation and also bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. I am Ramat Bashiru.
That's my colleague Ramat Bashir there at Odona Circle earlier today. And also, let's take you to Alajo, where my colleague Pekpo Maxwell Justice has also been speaking with some affected residents there.
Bifi anasa high workshop.
Fitting shop.
High fitting shop.
Baby Adro there, just have we answer who say Sakano, a best pack here. I send who say best pack, but more now I bear who may be here. Just a boy any film. Now control board the money you say ye we are boom and answer your pipum. And son as a can't bit mass pack because the iron is your more ultimate pack and I chance a battery square who are just a charge it. But say and yes, you have we are. Yet mean yes, you man. Say, me betty me. Curious, some got us in a win. I'm more beyond now got a home. Says, I'm more now. Got us in a dozen or got us in a honor. Queer sono. And she only top hat. Now start to say, and so air true munity. And I say, Yanyame and a ma a yard at Siena Coyat de Saya. A canipe be world. Gentlemen can was him. Because Joseph Kios will be insured in Bako. Kios and I coin or mom to him. And he, yes, sir. Or my boy.
And Rana can cook any pacranco, Bibianco, Sunu Kwan, Eco, Sunaya, Muninia, Mautu, containers, Ninia, any shops, Ninia, Eco, Zuni, hard drink, and
why a Jmo Hatcher?
My age,
yes, say that.
He be as to say, so and yes, say. And then draw the end of the dangerous pan. He be as to say, so and see, say, na and draw. Who cars are still cars ever got a moon by this time. David. Nentry na container bibia cars. Usha got any crowd still ube cars were got any. Intindra the end of dangerous pan.
Andra, dear women country women who bia. When I'm calling with Sokorana drew Sisi. I have seen you in Ababi, one in I went to me Baha. afa ha nyina afa nantwe mienu afa cars bebre ewa ha amanfo poly tank ni fridge mu nyina de ko enti yesra aban no woye bribi maye because send a hanom ye ne de enye fine send a hanom te no enye fine because amanfo containers amanfo kiosks amanfo cars nyina nsuo na afa enti yesra no gota no woye bribi maye ha de amaye ho nti ye pa
ya se mutu to niam agu gata no no so county na ya na nsuo na ato
ba no bebre toto bola ne niam nyina agu mba ye de enka ho because yante omo tete ben gota no omo na toto niam ye de gugu ayi gota no mu sanda ba because unu obi utimi hu obi kurana wo kira no so de tina utu niam egu gota no na opeso ne nko yeso yampa ye hu asem na ya fa kwa
where were you?
I was in the house.
Where?
In the house.
You were in the house?
Yes.
And what happened to you? Who did you reach out for help?
My father.
So it was your father who rescued you?
Yes.
Okay, that's your son?
Yeah.
Where was he yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday, honestly, he was home with my woman, but I was at the shop.
Around.
No, I was at the shop. So they called me and they was like, the gutter is almost full, so I should come around. As soon as I got here, I noticed the water has already bashing. It's entering the room. So I have to make sure I raise up my books and his books and my iPad and everything up. I did that and I went to this one-story building here at the back of the bridge just to get myself, to make sure I'm safe with my boy. So just within some couple of hours before we realized all the building got flooded. Not even just the household, the whole compound. Even our polytank got passed through the wall, through the fence, because all the house, everything was flooded. It was full to the extent of we not getting anything. So this is the only thing I have now.
This is the only thing you guys can see yourself.
I have now. So I'm now going to my mom's place to see if she'll be able to assist me with anything, because we are out of everything. There's nothing. My Tesla, my this thing, my phone, but my iPad, my laptop, everything is gone. My clothes, everything. My son's book is even more important because they are going to new class. He's in class 3, they are going to class 4. Every class 3 book is not done with it. Now I need to get new ones. Even there are some exercise books that he has not used at all. I'm planning to use those things in next time, but now the flood has taken everything.
Mini nyama bia o de bi ni dia won ha se ba ensu no ye ahama asamba ye ahama ye dwane ko ba bia mo fili gas o jina so oba gas flex ni nyina oba ho nyina ntia se na ye trans mi ndidi o mi ko to we ni me bedri ko se mi no mbebon enti me ba bi na ma mi tense de sia e bi na be che mi ntuma we se sia o sika no ko be e kwesi de mi kunu oji pe ni sika ni nyina ko.
So those are some affected residents at Alajo who spoke to my colleague Maxwell Justice Pepo earlier today. Let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to Alex Kinate. He's the Assistant Divisional Officer at the Ghana National Fire Service. Alex, grateful for your time this afternoon. Yesterday, while we were battling the floods, Infernos were also, playing their own parts. There were a lot of fires across the city. We understand that you've been able to douse the flames. Tell us more. What's the latest?
So thank you very much. Yesterday was quite a very busy and crazy day. We had to battle with fires all over. We had to again battle with a building collapse at battle a building collapse at Tabora. Around the Gulf Link station, which we were able to successfully extinguish. At that same time, there was a fire also involving some shops at Abeka. Our officers successfully extinguished also. Today has been easy. I won't say easy, but very relaxed compared to yesterday. Today has been a bit relaxed as compared to yesterday, but our officers are still working hard. We're on standby, especially even looking at the Odona. We have to keep one fire tender there keep personnel there in case of reignition. And so we just want to use this opportunity to remind people that even during rains or even during rains like this, fires are very likely to come.
How many fires did your men and women deal with yesterday?
So we dealt with not less than, in Accra in Tema alone, I would say we dealt with not less than 10 fires yesterday in Accra in Tema alone. In Kumasi, I know there was a fire also somewhere at Ashanti region and other regions, but in Accra we dealt with not less than 10. Accra in Tema, we dealt with no less than 10 fires yesterday.
That's quite worrying, though. Did it have anything to do with the floods? What were the causes of these fires? Have you been able to establish?
So some of these fires come even with electrical fires. Whenever there are rains, there is the high probability that power fluctuations will happen. There will be the probability that electrical exposed wires can come into contact with water, which can start a spark, and if not contained early, can start fires. And so for now, I can't tell, they are all at various stages of investigations. But what I can say is that rains come a lot with electrical fires, and if not checked earlier, can spread and lead to a very bad disaster.
You tell me that you're unable to mention or identify the cause of these fires, but per what you tell me, it appears that preliminary investigation points to electrical faults, right?
Yes, a lot of, yes, I would say that because a lot of the electrical faults come with rains, and so it's something I wouldn't rule out. There can be other causes. There can be human negligence, there can be arson, but then the most possible cause might be with the electrical faults as a result of the rain and its accompanying electrical issues.
We saw some of your vehicles stuck in the rain yesterday when you were trying to get to the site of the infernos and try to douse the flames. Tell us about some of the challenges you had to go through yesterday to douse fires that ravaged the city.
So again, I'm glad you saw the issue with accessibility. Accessibility was a problem for us, trying to ravage through to get to the scene of fires. Obviously, our fire tender, we could go as far, or we couldn't go so far. The problem again was that due to the fact that we couldn't access the area, we had to wait hours for the rain, for the floodwaters to subside before we were able to adequately fight the fire. The challenge, I won't say challenge, but the good thing is that as we're waiting on the floodwaters to subside, we took advantage to embark on rescue mission to rescue people who were in distress within the area. And I can say that we're able to rescue about 300 people at Odona while we were waiting for the rainwaters to subside for us to fight the fire. Sure, but for the inaccessibility, would not have got to the extent that it did, and we would have been able to extinguish the fire even as at yesterday. But well, I guess it's a lesson, and hopefully it should reinforce or re-echo our calls for more retooling of the Ghana National Fire Service.
Were your men and women overwhelmed? Hello, Alex. I'm asking,
yes,
were your men and women overwhelmed? To an extent,
especially when it came to our... so that's why I'm saying that, yes, to an extent, because you know we have limited fire tenders. We've always been speaking about the fact that a station would have to attend to both rescue and fires. It was within our capability. Had we had so much appliances, we have quality human resources, but the logistics was what was limiting our ability just a little bit. But we're able to make sure that we attended to everybody, be it fire or emergency. We attended tree fallings, we attended gas tanker burning, that was even on Sunday. And so overwhelming, yes, to an extent, but we were definitely on top of our games, and we made sure that anybody that needed our help was never deprived of our services.
What about casualties? Did you record any casualties?
Yes, so we recorded, so per the verifiable casualties or deaths that we've been able to confirm, we have about 12 people that died. I'm sure before the end of the day, if we put our figures together, we might be able to come up with much more deaths than we have as of now, because with the 12 figures, we have 4 that the bodies were retrieved at Odona yesterday as our officers were carrying out with the rescue. There was 2 at Alaji, 1 was electrocution, 1 was flat. There was 2 also at Alogoshi, a mother and her child. There was a man at Achimota Abufu. There were 2 people also at Temanu Town. And so these are all deaths that we've confirmed from our other agencies and allies or stakeholders that we work with. And so I'm sure that before the end of the day, the numbers might rise, and we should be able to update you as to the new numbers that we get.
I think one thing that a lot of people really haven't paid attention to is the fact that the rains, they come with fire, as we've witnessed time and again. I want you to advise Ghanaians on what to do in times like this.
Okay, so you realize that, so the first thing I would say is that people should avoid movements. I'm glad that the Honorable Minister for Interior came up with a press release advising people to stay at home during the rains. So I would want to re-echo that same release, that during rains, heavy rains like this, before you step out of the house, please do well to familiarize yourself with the fire and with the weather report. Know if you're expecting heavy rains. If you're expecting heavy rains, please stay at home, because these heavy rains can pose a risk or a danger to both those driving and those walking. Those driving can get carried away by the rainwaters, and even for those walking, when there are heavy rains like this, some of these service poles might be fully energized or might have electricity passing through them. When the heavy storms and they come down and these wires fall in the rainwater, it makes the area energized. Walking in this rainwater can spell doom for you. And so I would advise that familiarize yourself with the weather forecast. Again, it's important that at home, identify a high point, especially for those who stay in flood-prone areas. Identify high points that you stay in. Again, I would advise people that, especially for people whose homes get submerged when it rains, it's important that when you see the weather changing, please do well to turn off the main power supply to your homes, because we know that rain, water and electricity are not the best of friends. And so if you know you stay in an area that gets submerged in rain when it rains, or it gets submerged in water when it rains, it's important to turn off every electrical appliance, so that even if the water enters your electrical sockets, they won't be energized and thereby will not cause any harm to yourself.
Alex Kinnate, grateful for your time this afternoon. He's the Assistant Divisional Officer at the Ghana National Fire Service. That is still watching the polls here on Joy News. I still have in the studio my colleagues Ramat Bashiru and Fatau Bayaga, that's the woman and the man on the ground for us yesterday and today. Throughout the day, they've been on the beat, monitoring the situation for us to ensure that you are updated on what is happening across the country. Rabat, we heard that there was some writing of names in one of your clips that we played by authorities. What is that name for?
Ken, so the aftermath of the disaster brought together some of the firefighters and NADMO officials once again to the scene. And so what they did first was to go in there and assess the extent of damage the fire incident caused to the traders. So after they moved to the other section of the market, and that was where they were registering and taking some details of these market women who were affected by this incident. And so in some of the videos that we played on air, we could see people in queues just trying to also make sure that they write their names. And I should also state that at the particular registration center, there were 2 stands. The NADMO directors there tells me that one stand is for those who are affected by the flood, and the other one is for those who are affected by the fire incident. And so when you go there and you're affected by the flood, you register with the flood stand. And when you're also affected by the fire incident, you also register with the fire. And so speaking to the people, their main worry is not on relief items. They need an immediate solution to some of these things, because they tell us that these things have been happening over and over again. They even said to us that they were not going to speak because obviously they are tired of talking each and every time. No changes, the same situation, different actors, different scenes. And this is the particular spot where 11 years ago people experienced situations like this. And so the registration, basically the people are just hoping that from the names that they've submitted to NADMO officials, government will immediately intervene for them to get immediate help. And they also say that even though government is going to help them, they need an amount of money to start their businesses again, because the extent of devastation caused by this fire to them is unimaginable. And they also propose some of the things that they think governments can do. When you look at the markets, when you visit that particular scene, you could see that the drainage system there is very poor, very small scenes. Whenever there is rain, it becomes difficult. They say that the place gets flooded. Other people also dump refuse in the gutters. And so these are some of the things that they are proposing, that immediately, if governments can strictly enforce the law. One man I spoke to tells me that they would want the AMA to visit the ground and be monitoring some of this situation by individuals who do not strictly abide by this sanitation laws in our markets.
Ramat Bashir, thank you. Fatal Bayaga, I mean, as I've mentioned earlier, you and Ramat and Stephen, you did a wonderful job yesterday. Is this your first time covering anything related to a flood of this magnitude?
Yes, yes. This is my first time doing this, and it was very disheartening, you know, covering such a very big story, a story that, you know, affected lives, a story that affected property, a story that many people would, maybe in many years to come, will still remember and say that this day was a very bad day for them and all of that. But in fact, some of the things that the people around Alajo told me was that there's clear dereliction of duty. They have, over the period, they mounted pressure on the previous leaders, the current leaders. They're still mounting pressure on them. And clearly, there seem to be, some kind of hesitance, or the leaders are simply adamant in terms of solving this challenge. And Ramat talked about something that around the Odona area, they began to take names to support people. At Alajo, it's a different story. The people said they've not seen any official coming there in the name of registering or taking their names so that they will get any support, and it's a major concern for them. They're hoping that maybe in the next few days or in the next 24 hours, they will see people coming there to support them following this very devastating flooding.
I hope your area did not flood, though.
My area did not flood.
I hope yours did not flood too.
Safe,
but my road, it's in a terrible shape.
Because most of the time, journalists will leave our own problems and go speak about other people's problems when we have problems, in our homes and all that. So thank goodness that your area did not flood, yours did not flood as well. And as I've mentioned earlier, may the souls of those who have unfortunately lost their lives continue to rest in peace. Kudos to Ramat, kudos to Fatal and the entire team here at Joy News who brought us comprehensive coverage of the floods yesterday, to our director Dramani, to our news editor Evans Mensah, to everybody involved yesterday and today too. Well done, guys. You're still watching The Pulse here on Joy News. When we return from the break, we have more flood stories. Don't go anywhere.
Distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number 1, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it they carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it they make water they flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Welcome. You know the drill. We must be at our very best every second of every day.
Big, small, brave.
Tell me you're good at this.
The best, outrageous.
Guess what we need to kick us up a notch?
Here's how it's gonna go down.
Lights, camera.
That was great.
It's your call, couch director.
What are you gonna do about it?
And action. Because you're not just watching.
This is real life.
You're calling the moments.
Back into this game.
Backing your favorites. Reacting loud.
The fat lady singing.
Across our stack of movie channels, we bring the blockbusters. You bring the vibe.
Who and what you're made of. I've got this.
So pull in for a movie or 3. Sound off on the socials and stay connected to GoTV.
What a rush.
Where you don't just watch movies, you love it.
Did you know that Ghana spends more than 8 billion Ghana cedis annually importing food that can be produced right here at home? That's why the Joy brands, in partnership with the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters (FAGE), are bringing you Joy Agribusiness Month 2026 under the theme From Soil to Sovereignty, Building Ghana's Agricultural Self-Reliance Through Innovation. Join us on the Joy Super Morning Show, Joy News, Joy Prime, and across Joy Business platforms for a month-long national conversation on Ghana's food security and agribusiness future. Since the beginning of June, we have engaged policymakers, industry leaders, researchers, agripreneurs, and development partners, exploring government policy, trade, and financing for food sovereignty, highlighting research, innovation, and mechanization. We have also examined infrastructure, value addition, youth participation, and agricultural financing as critical drivers of sector growth. In week 4, our focus turns to vast opportunities across Ghana's horticultural value chains. The final week looks at consumer power and Ghana's roadmap to food sovereignty by 2030. Stay tuned to Joy FM, Joy News, and Joy Prime. The Joy Agribusiness Month 2026 is proudly sponsored by Agro Monte Company Limited. We understand Agric and Ghana Commodity Exchange, trade, storage, financing, all in one place. That's GCX, powering Africa's commodity markets.
Hello again. Government has begun distributing relief items to victims of yesterday's devastating floods in parts of Accra as authorities race to support affected families and prevent a fresh sanitation crisis in the aftermath of the disaster. The relief packages, which include bags of rice and cash support, are being distributed to residents whose homes and businesses were affected by the flooding. Mayor of Accra, Michael Akufo-Addo, says it is deploying shovels, wheelbarrows and waste collection bins to speed up the clearing of silt and refuse from affected communities. He spoke after handing over the items to officials of the Okaigwe South Municipal Assembly earlier today. And my colleague Stephen Mensah has been touring some of the affected communities with the mayor of Accra, and he's joining me in the studio. Stephen, tell us more. What did you find?
From the Addo River, and you notice once you get there that the remnants of the floods yesterday are still quite visible over there. You notice a mixture of sand, that's the silt. You also notice some waste, some plastic waste also on and in and around the drains. You also notice a mixture or a blend of some tree stumps, some leaves, some branches, all mixed up together when you get to the Addo River. And we visited this place yesterday when the rains were, the rain was still falling, and when the tides and the current of the water was still high. We also visited the bus terminal, the Circle bus terminal, and it's quite similar. All these scenarios we see plays out in all the areas we visited. At the Circle bus terminal, you notice this, and it's a little more severe when you get to the Circle bus terminal as compared to the Addo River. You notice that these drivers, who we reported yesterday, were trying to find a way of salvaging what they can from their vehicles. Yesterday, we reported that some of these drivers had water in their engines and in their vehicles. And you notice when you get to the bus terminal today that they've got some of these mechanics over there trying and fix the place up, trying to fix the vehicles, and trying to clear the place. You notice it's not really in a good sanitary condition. So you notice some of these individuals trying to clear and clean the place. We also visited Dantuman, and from the indications we've got and the people we spoke to, you notice and you would understand that this place, it's quite waterlogged, and it's a place that would quite often get flooded.
Right. And
this is the Dansuman roundabout. And in fact, when we were going, our driver was telling us that, he's been living here for quite some time, for some 20 years now, per what he tells us. And it's been raining, it's been flooding consistently. And he tells us, and we saw this for ourselves, and I'm quite evident to this. You notice that some houses are flooded to a point where you know and get to ascertain to the fact that no one can live in such a house because of the situation there. We visited these places, and we ended up at the Okaikwe South, close to the Aveno footbridge, and this is where the mayor of Accra distributed the items to the Okaikwe South Assembly, and he's been telling them about ensuring that they get these relief packages to all affected persons. We can listen to the mayor of Accra, who was distributing the items to the affected persons.
What happened today, and we are here this morning to sympathize with them, to make sure our best we can help them to come out from this tragedy. And we are here to donate. As the rain has stopped, there's so much rubbish in the community. So we brought wheelbarrows for them to pack all the rubbish that is in now in the community out, so that we'll bring compactors. We are doing free baller. We're doing free baller around the metro. Nobody's paying for a baller. They should bring their ballers out for us to pack for them.
And have you provided any clear guidelines for preventing some of these refuse from gathering in the community?
Yeah, we are stationed some of our men here, so that when they gather, they call the compactors car will come and clear it.
What reliefs are you providing to the affected persons?
I'm giving them rice, I'm giving them oil, we're giving money as well. We are bringing mattress and wheelbarrows and shovels.
And the other question will be about how many people have been identified to be affected by this rain?
Within the community, over 250 houses.
About 250 houses affected by the rain. And what's the long-term plan for these individuals?
We will come back again. You can see there are a lot of people. They are making so much noise. We will come back here again. I've asked Assemblyman to number all of them to see those we have to help them with their roofing. We'll do that. Those we have to help them with a bit of structures. And where we have to clear the gutters, where we have to clear the structures on the gutters too, we are going to clear them.
Well, that's the mayor of Accra, Stephen Mensah, is still in the studio with me. Stephen, where else did you visit with the mayor?
Well, Kenneth, that was my interaction with the mayor of Accra, and he's been telling us that one interesting thing, he says they've provided some 50,000 cedis as part of the relief packages for the affected persons. And we visited the Kaneshi route. We used from Dantuman, coming out through Kaneshi. And you notice that when you get to this junction, there's a bit of a gridlock on that stretch, given the poor nature of the road. You'll notice a lot of this water, stagnant water from the rain from yesterday, stuck on the intersection heading towards Dansoman, and it's causing some gridlock on that stretch, given that these drivers have to take their time to enter what I would describe as a manhole because of the poor state of the road. So they'll have to take their time and navigate through this bad state of the road, heading towards Accra Academy. But then you notice when you get there also that there are some gravels that have been placed on this intersection, and we're trying to get and understand what the reason behind these gravels or construction materials have been placed, but we didn't get any information on that. But these are the areas you visited, and we'll be hoping to get some answers from there.
Stephen Mensah, good job done. Thank you. Well, we've also been hearing from the MPP flag bearer Mahmoud Bawumia, who has called for a state of emergency. He spoke during a tour of some of the affected areas.
Tragedy, and this is a tragedy for all of Ghana. It isn't a tragedy just for Accra or here in Oceana and Glacier Mampo. It is a tragedy for all of Ghana. And the flooding, as we have seen, has caused a lot of damage. We've lost lives. In fact, as I have arrived here, I'm told that there is a dead body that has yet to be picked up. We are calling on the authorities, NADMO and the police, to come together and make sure that the dead body is picked up. It's really unbelievable that it hasn't been done since yesterday. And I plead with the police and NADMO to come together to pick up this dead body. And I think that is just something that has to be done without anything. But I think that at the end of the day, I want Ghanaians, all of us, to come together. I don't want what is happening to break down into a partisan battle amongst the parties. There's a real issue of flooding facing Greater Accra region, and that issue is something that requires immediate and urgent solutions. And I think that is where we should focus on. How do we solve the problem? We shouldn't get into blame games. We should focus on how we can quickly solve the problems. What is worrying for me is that the forecasts are forecasts of even more rain to come. And if this is going to be more rain, I believe that the government could also consider even declaring a state of emergency so that we deal with this in that particular format, that a state of emergency is declared, because this is a real big problem for this country, and we have to put all our energies, all our talents, all the engineers, all the hydrologists, we have to bring everybody together, regardless of party. But this is for Ghana, and let us do it for Ghana. Let us come together for Ghana and solve this problem for our country. And so that is where I want to ask everybody, let's do this together and let's provide relief, immediate relief to the people who are affected. People need food, people don't have clothes, people don't have mattresses. Let us make sure that we come immediately to their aid to do that. Everybody should do something. Myself, I will try and help in the small way I can with some of these relief items. But I think that we are a country, our country people, our communities are in need, and we should all chip in to come and help them in this. It is a sad, sad situation. It's a human story.
That's the flag bearer of the opposition NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. We've also been hearing from the party itself, which is accusing the government of mishandling the country's flood response following yesterday's devastating floods. In a statement, the NPP expressed sympathy to thousands of people affected by the floods and called on government to stop what it describes as fiddling with anti-flood interventions. We can have that statement on the screen right now for you. It continues to allege that splitting flood management responsibilities between the ministries of local government and WEX, housing and water resources, has created confusion and weakened coordination. It also criticized the role of Deputy Chief of Staff Stan Dogbe in coordinating the response, arguing that he lacks the authority to direct the relevant ministries. Well, the MPP, through that statement you see on your screen, further claimed that delays in releasing funds for flood mitigation have undermined efforts to prevent flooding and urged the government to take urgent, decisive action to address the recurring crisis. So those are excerpts of the statement you see currently on your screen right now, and they're calling on government for urgent action. Martin J. Mensah-Kosa is the ranking member on the Works and Housing Committee. He's joining me on the telephone lines right now for more on this. Martin, welcome to the program. I want to believe that this flooding issue has come to the attention of your committee. What are you doing about it?
Well, thank you very much, Evans, and for the opportunity. So it's come to our attention, and earlier this morning, again, I had the opportunity to make a few visits in Accra with the NPP flag bearer, and so I speak as having come into contact with the real facts. I mean, you've had at first hand what Ghanaians are going through. We are losing lives, young and old, and thousands displaced. If you go to see the level of devastation on people, it's amazing. And you ask yourself, what have we been doing as a country? Clearly, there is a gap between the rhetoric, the words, and the actual action on the ground. Evans, let me quickly place on record that there has been, or there was, a very detailed technical study of this flooding situation in Ghana, especially Greater Accra, from 2017, by the then government under Akufo-Addo. Solutions were found. Now, we needed means to kick these solutions on the ground. So it led to this initiative we call GARID, the much talked about GARID, which is a Greater Accra Resilience and Integrated Development Project. Now, this saw, in simple terms, the need to, within Greater Accra, there are 17 what you call the municipal assemblies, which fall within the Addo River Basin. 70% of the flooding in Accra, then and now today, are all within or have something to do with this Addo River Basin. Now, we started this project, which comprised about over 40 initiatives. They included the building storm drains within this catchment area. They included building water holding ponds in strategic locations so that water that is running don't get into our homes. But there's a clear chart that you chart for it to go. There is a management aspect of the solid waste of this situation. And then the dredging works within the Addo itself and its 4 tributaries. Now, this project kick-started, and by the time the NPP left office, out of an amount of $350 million United States dollars, as a committee ranking member, a presentation done before us some 2-3 months ago. In attendance was the Minister of Works and Housing himself, his deputy, and other technical staff of the ministry. While these projects are stalled, for whatever reasons, if I tell you some, it will amaze you. We have over $200 million sitting in the chest of the government of Ghana, mainly meant for GARID. Projects commenced at different stages of completion, but have been stalled for 18 months. The result is that today, the president is ordering another release of some 350 million cedis. But I dare say given what has been stalled and the availability of funds, the problem in dealing with this flood is not about money. There has to be an explanation why the badly hit areas today, which studies shown yesterday, and where projects started, why have they stalled? And the country of Greater Accra has lost the benefit of enjoying those facilities, leading us to where we are today. I fear if we don't interrogate these matters, no matter the amount, whether this or even beyond, that we allocate, we might have the same problem. The issue has never been about money with implementing Garrett. There has to be a reason why it has stalled after the Akufo-Addo government left office. And so for me, this, you cannot take officialdom or government out of the blame. We went to sleep. Evans, before I land, there has been absolutely no other alternative flood mitigation policy other than Garrett.
Okay.
Now, what is in place today still remains Garrett. Ever since government came in 18 months, they've not introduced any new policy. Yet, nothing has happened until this happened. Now we see a knee-jerk reaction, ministries running around, security officers being asked to go here, not more. And even yesterday, the president has to sit in a helicopter and take a view of what the problem is in Accra. I thought we know the problems, we've gone past it. We need action to deal with this problem. It has to go beyond the political rhetoric.
Martin, so do you then suggest, this is Kenneth, by the way, do you then suggest that this is government inefficiency that is causing this flood?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And inaction. Inaction on the part of government. Kenneth, inaction on the part of government. Extremely so. Because you cannot have, you go to the World Bank, government is a continuum. You take up where your predecessor left off. There is money available to you. Projects have commenced. And you stop them. As I speak to you, go around Accra. From Accra Academy, the Prom Junction, from Kaneshi, from the Odo, from Bank of Ghana quarters, from the Takrady VIP station, from the Ayikai Street at Abosokai, Nima, Paloma, Kampawoshi, go to Weja, Bawe, come to Achimota. All these projects are stalled, over 40 of them. And let me tell you what the reason given us in a technical meeting with the World Bank, my committee, and officials of the ministry, where the minister started it. The technocrats told us that when they go to the site to ensure that work commences, they are being chased away by criminals who wield offensive weapons. And as a result, the projects are unable to continue. My brother, Jesus Christ, this is the reason given us for a national project to mitigate floods in the extent that we are seeing. The reason is that those projects are not going on because criminals have taken over, squatters have taken over the locations where this must happen, and that they are unable to ward them off. This is what we were told as an official reason months ago in the conference room of the Western House Ministry.
Martin,
this is pathetic.
Martin, you talked about the Garrett project and the fact that some monies that were allocated to that project have not been used as they are supposed to. But I want to quote the finance minister, then minority leader, Akufo-Addo, in May 2024. This is what he said. He says, for example, I'm quoting him verbatim, he says, for example, $65 million of the Garrett loan that was supposed to be used for the purposes of killing the floods was misapplied for the purposes of COVID-19 expenditure. How do you explain that?
So that is a fallacy.
It's not true?
A complete falsity.
It's not true?
A while ago, I just spoke on the floor of Parliament, responding to the Honorable Bejira. My brother, there was a dispensation to apply parts under a legitimate consideration to deal with urgent matters that were on our hands. The World Bank, who had given this money to the country, leave was sought, and there was authorization. In any case, Kenneth, that has never been in doubt, that there's been enough funds. When I started talking to you, I told you that there is already sitting in our chest over 200 million United States dollars. When the committee came before us in Parliament, they mentioned this particular quote you just attributed to Akufo-Addo. And in their accounting delivered to the committee, they considered that that has not stalled the project or that has not taken away anything from the project. There were some contingency arrangements beyond the budget of the project that could take away or deal with this particular situation. So there was a legitimate consideration to apply part of it. But that never took away anything from Garrett. In any case, as I speak to you, there is surplus money sitting down to continue the project. Is anybody on record saying to me and the Ghanaian people that there is no money to do Garrett? No. The Garrett coordinator, Dr. Ohimi, together with his team, presented to us in Parliament, and there is sufficient funds to complete Garrett. So I'm amazed that they quickly ran to that and make an excuse. The Honorable Bejira just did that on the floor of Parliament, and I pointed to the Mr. Speaker that is an attempt to mislead this country and hide their inaction in dealing with the issue that we have. Even when they presented to us at the committee level, they said Honorable Bejira is a member of the committee and sat there. So right away, I thought they would have moved from that propaganda and made it seem as though there is no money to do Garrett because a portion of it was taken to deal with COVID. No, it's a fallacy.
Well, the public are really divided when it comes to this issue. They are blaming both political parties for your failure. In fact, one of the main things that they point to is the May 21st, 2019 visit by then President Akufo-Addo to the Odo River, where he did some inspections. Now, the then manager on site, Wise Ametefe, said that they were going to turn that site into a resort, and I'm quoting him verbatim. He says, upon completion of the project, a number of recreational facilities will be constructed on the site of the Odo River as part of the Lower Kole Lagoon redevelopment project. Many are asking, why did that project not come to fruition?
Kenneth, respectfully, we need to explain the issues well to people. We are not comparing, the issues are not the same. It will be most unfair for anybody to blame Akufo-Addo or the NPP for the non-completion of that project. Garrett was an 8-year project which had begun. I'm saying to you that the timeline,
right?
If Garrett had continued, we ought to have completed Garrett projects before the end of last year, 2025. It has not finished or is not completed because it has never been continued for 18 months as I speak to you today. So it may seem as though the NPP did nothing, but all the infrastructural works in dealing with this flooding that the NPP started, they are there visibly to see. When I went around this morning with Baumia, you find them there at Santa Maria. You go and see them. Halfway, they are left on that. And then the portion where they've done, you see that the water did not cause much devastation. But the point where they did not, then you see the real devastation. Okay. So people would have to understand the fact that something happened after the detailed study under Akufo-Addo. When it commenced, they are visibly available for everybody to check. But question is, why were they not completed within time before the end of last year? Okay. And why do they continue to be stalled now and make it look as if the two parties are the same and that no action was done under the NPP? It is not true. I've already told you that it's only under the NPP that a national flood mitigation policy called the Garrett came into fruition. Now, fast forward to today, there's been no singles of such under the Mahama administration. Yes, they have not made any attempt to introduce any. They are not continuing what they met. And we just sit down as we do. Until when disaster strikes, there's an immediate reaction that I'm sitting in a helicopter, go around the sky, I'm going to allocate 350 million. In any case, what is the guarantee that this money would actually be released? Since this flood started about 2 months ago, we have had various interventions being announced. Now, in spite of all of that, we are still hearing 250 million cedis. Is it really going to be released?
You don't think it will? You don't think it will, Martin?
There's no guarantee.
Okay.
It's easy during the melee, when the situation is high, to come and promise something and try to get people comforted. But I tell you, even what is available they didn't use. How much more what they are promising? What is available and sitting down? You can call the coordinator, you can call the minister. Whether I'm not speaking the truth, there is money for guys not sitting down. Yet it's not happening. So why are you going to find the other one that you don't even have?
Okay. I'm going through the press release that was issued by your party, the MPP, and in part, your party alleges that splitting flood management responsibilities between the ministries of local government and works, housing and water resources has created confusion and weakened coordination. What does that mean?
Well, my brother, it's of a major concern also. You may recall on video that I'm making the rounds that the Honorable Minister, respected Minister for Local Government, my brother and friend, Ahmed Banda, complaining about the fact that sanitation contracts under a particular arrangement have been cancelled and the funds being now sent to the assemblies to tackle sanitation. Unfortunately, it is not working. And so he was imploring government to revert back to the original arrangement of getting the contract to the private individual to start doing the work. Now, when things get to the point where a sitting minister of a sector comes to tell us that money earmarked for his ministry is not producing any outcome, despite its expenditure, then it's a major problem. Serious problem. Again, there is supposed to be constituted committee for ministers and the deputy chief of staff. Now, from all indications, it appears the coordination is not there. Because in one of those arrangements, even the sitting minister for interior, who must deal with the security aspect of all that is going on, is not part. We are counting about 2-3 different committees that are being set up, all in the vein of dealing with this matter. And we believe that it's quite one too many. You don't see the proper coordination as to who is in control and who is commanding the troops in dealing with this matter. We think that we have to make sure there is some consistency, either by the Minister for Local Government's position or some other well-coordinated means, so that if it's a ministerial program, we see it as such. But when you go to bring a deputy chief of staff to come and do this arrangement, and the parts do not appear to be gelling well, because even in spite of all that arrangement, we have seen very little as it is. So there's a real problem. There's a lack of proper and coherent coordination of these efforts that government want to put in place in dealing with the flooding. And that in itself, it's a problem. Until the team players agree among themselves that this is the way to go, this is where we are all heading, and then they are ready to work together as a team, then there is a problem.
We've heard the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed, address the House of Legislature a while ago about the casualties that have sadly been recorded and the persons who have been displaced. There are calls that the sector minister in charge of works and housing should also appear before the House and give an update. Is that something you support?
Absolutely. It's important that government lays out a clear program of mitigation to avoid what you are heading into. The GMET is alerting that the days ahead of us is going to be even more disastrous in terms of the volumes of rain that is going to be experienced. We are still not too sure what very credible, coherent program that is being put in place to deal with this matter and give assurance to the Ghanaian that indeed some security is given and is assured. And so we think that together with the Western Housing Minister, There's a need to hear them. If they present a program, then we can proper and better interrogate it and see where the fine lines are. This is beyond politics.
Right.
Enough politicking, it brought us no result, and the time has come for us to deal with it holistically on a non-partisan basis. But we must help government. For me, where I sit, Kenneth, I can tell you, government appears overwhelmed about the situation. Clearly overwhelmed. It's bereft of ideas. It's been taken by surprise about the sheer volume of the situation, and it's knocking its head around. It needs to pipe down and invite ideas, so together we can put our hands to it. If people make a study of the situation and prescribe solutions and sought funding, clearly some amount of work has been done. If you have not presented anything, nothing should stop you from resorting to that if there is merit. In any case, my brother, when all the credible technical minds in our country sit around the table and profess solutions for dealing with our flood situation, I'm wondering how anybody may want to rubbish it. And for which work has commenced. So I think that they need to retreat, sit down, and invite ideas so we can deal with it. I have a minister for local government before. Somebody has been on their side. There are other ministers, works on housing and so on. We can sit around the table. Let me tell you something. Under Garrett, when I was minister, the 17 municipalities within the Addo River Basin, it was for strict compliance that along every drain, we need to have a buffer zone. If we come and any unauthorized structure is placed anywhere within proximity, you, the chief executive, will have yourself to blame. And I can tell you 1 or 2 people lost their jobs. Ever since that happened, the result for me was positive.
Okay.
I could drive anytime, anywhere within these identified buffers. And you would not have squatters or developers putting unauthorized structures in those areas. Let's put people in charge. Let's put practices that have helped us into place and achieve results.
Okay.
So we are ready to sit with them and prefer ideas. We are losing our countrymen and women, young and old.
Right.
And again, more importantly, the floods that we have seen have shown that it is no respecter of persons. It doesn't show distinction between classes of people or party. It's treating us equally. And we need to confront it. Otherwise, if we don't stop these floods, the floods will stop us.
I must put on record that we've also tried our possible best to get a reaction from a government, but we have been largely unsuccessful so far.
Don't come. I can tell you, don't come.
That's an announcement to my viewers, Martin, respectfully. All right. As and when we're able to get them, we will engage them. But you heard there, Martin J. Mensah Kosa, who is the ranking member of the Works and Housing Committee of Parliament there, giving us the thoughts of the minority since this unfortunate incident happened. And earlier, when we took you to Parliament earlier, we heard from the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, who gave us an update on the casualties that have been recorded so far since this devastating flood yesterday. And he says that more than 7,000 households have been affected, and more than 38,000 persons have been displaced. About 7 persons are reported missing, and at least 12 people have sadly lost their lives. And while government has announced fresh funding, Joy News Research Review shows Ghana has already secured nearly $1 billion in international financing for flood control, sanitation and urban water infrastructure over the past 2 decades. And despite that investment, devastating floods continue to claim lives and destroy property almost every rainy season. The review, based on records from the World Bank, African Development Bank and African Water Facility, shows that between 2000 and 2024, Ghana secured major multilateral funding with approximately $700 million earmarked specifically for Greater Accra. And data and research analyst at Joy News, Caleb Ziblin, is joining me in the studio to break down the figures for us. Caleb, nearly $1 billion. That's a huge amount of money. Help us understand it.
Yes, so in fact, the actual amount is $990 million, and that's from 2000 to 2024. So for about 24 years, the government of Ghana has gotten approval for $990 million to tackle the flooding situation across the country. Now, if you zone it down to Accra, because Accra has its own peculiar challenges, in Accra, about 723 million of this 990 million has been directed towards Accra and handling the flood situation in the capital city. Now, if you go down to the breakdown, we have the main Gamma projects in 2013, about $150 million was allocated for that. We also have the Gamma Additional Funding 1 in 2020, that's $125 million. Then we have the additional Gamma funding in 2024, that's an additional $30 million. So for the total Gamma projects, there was $305 million in allocations. Then we go to GARID, which is the center of controversy now. GARID was initially approved in 2019 for a loan of $200 million. Then we know some parts of it was taken out to handle the COVID-19 expenditure, I think about $65 million. Then in 2023, an additional GARID funding came on board, that's $150 million. So in total, the total GARID funding is $350 million. But you might hear people say $285 million because $65 million was taken out to handle some COVID-related expenditure in 2020 thereabout. So for the GARID project, $350 million was approved, but then the actual funding for the total GARID and Accra infrastructure to tackle the flooding is $285 million. And then we'll come to the breakdown of GARID very soon, but let me just wrap up with some of the other financing that Ghana has secured to tackle flooding. We also have the Accra East Sewage and Sanitation Project in 2024. That was 225,000 euros. And then we also have the Accra Sewage improvements in 2006, and that's $68 million. So in total, for just Accra alone, again, we have 723 million Ghana cedis that government of Ghana has secured to solve Accra's perennial flooding situation. But if you zoom out a bit from 2000 to 2024, the entire country, we've gotten in excess of $900 million to solve the flooding situation across the country. Now, we spoke about the GARID project, and then we know GARID has now become very topical. And like I said, the total amount involved was $350 million, but then it's now about $285 million because some $65 million was taken out to support the country during the COVID crisis. Now, as of April 2026, and this according to the World Bank, only 40% of the disbursement for GARID has taken place. Now, that total is $138 million. So only $138 million out of the over $285 million for the GARID project has been released since 2019, and that's 40% of it. Now, if you go through the World Bank's own update on GARID, which was released in April 2026, the World Bank lays the blame squarely at the Finance Ministry, unfortunately. According to the World Bank, the government had capped the project's funding. So from about the latter part of 2023 to early 2026, there was no disbursement from the GARID accounts because the government had capped some project financing, and also there were some fiscal controls in 2025. So the government was not spending as much as it could have. Again, about 13.8 million Ghana cedis was taken out of the GARID account. According to the report, it says it was swept out of the GARID account, but then later replaced back. We don't know why 30 million was taken out. We don't know for what reason the 30 million was taken out for, but we know that 30 million was taken out from the account for some time before it was put back in there. And then the next blame for the GARID delay is that contractors were not being paid on time. According to the World Bank, again, they say payment or authorization from the Finance Ministry was taking quite a while, so contractors were not being paid. And then once you don't pay on time, you get into cost overruns because some penalties apply, some inflationary impact, the exchange rate movements and all of that take impact. Again, according to the World Bank, again, no disbursements happened for 16 months. And then the latest one happened in, I think, March 2026, where about $10 million was now released. Again, because of the slow disbursements and the fiscal controls, work slowed and was abandoned at some sites. And then again, the compensation payments also delayed. So some contractors were not being paid. And then finally, there have been some safety and compliance issues which had caused the project to stall for some time. So the main reason that the Gary project has not kicked off for some time was because the Finance Ministry was not releasing the money. And this year, a certain amount has been allocated for Garrett. But then according to the World Bank, if you look at the authorizations that the Finance Ministry has projected to put out for 2026, it's far below what the Garrett project needs for 2026. So there's some confusion as to what's going on there. But then, again, for the Garrett project, only 40% over the past 6 years has been released. The total amount is $285 million. But then the entire amount is $350 million. But because of the COVID spending part, it has reduced to 285. As we speak, or the latest update we have from the World Bank, in April 2026, that's just a few months ago, $138 million had been disbursed for the project. And then the project has been plagued with, some fiscal controls from the Finance Ministry, some non-release of funds, and then some of the fiscal controls to help keep inflation in check. So this is where we are with the Gary project, then the entire funding as it relates to flooding in Accra.
Caleb Ziblem is a journalist, research and data analyst. Thank you very much, Caleb. Now, still on floods, at least 12 people have sadly lost their lives. That is according to authorities in charge of the mitigating measures. And earlier we heard from the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, also tell us about the casualties that have been recorded. You're still watching the polls here on Joy News. We're in turn from the break. We have more stories for you.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabadim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Did you know that Ghana spends more than 8 billion Ghana cedis annually importing food that can be produced right here at home? That's why the Joy brands, in partnership with the Federation of Associations of Ghanaian Exporters (FAGE), are bringing you Joy Agribusiness Month 2026 under the theme From Soil to Sovereignty, Building Ghana's Agricultural Self-Reliance Through Innovation. Join us on the Joy Super Morning Show, Joy News, Joy Prime, and across Joy Business platforms for a month-long national conversation on Ghana's food security and agribusiness future. Since the beginning of June, we have engaged policymakers, industry leaders, researchers, agripreneurs, and development partners, exploring government policy, trade, and financing for food sovereignty, highlighting research, innovation, and mechanization. We have also examined infrastructure, value addition, youth participation, and agricultural financing as critical drivers of sector growth. In week 4, our focus turns to vast opportunities across Ghana's horticultural value chains. The final week looks at consumer power and Ghana's roadmap to food sovereignty by 2030. Stay tuned to Joy FM, Joy News, and Joy Prime. The Joy Agribusiness Month 2026 is proudly sponsored by Agro Monte Company Limited. We understand Agric and Ghana Commodity Exchange, trade, storage, financing, all in one place. That's GCX, powering Africa's commodity markets.
So this strategy will lead. Oh no, not again.
Sir, relax. The generator will come on now.
The generator is not working.
Why stress yourself when the experts are just one tap away? Introducing Left Power, the smart emergency support app from Left Signature Limited. With Left Power, certified engineers respond fast, anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stories.
Hello, sir. This is Left Signature Limited. The request has been received and our engineers are already on their way. Please relax. We've got you covered.
This is professional. Every Left expert is certified, verified, and can be tracked in real time. Oh, you'll know they're coming before they even arrive. From electrical engineering and solar power systems to data center management, cloud services, smart automation, and software development, Left Signature delivers excellence, fast, reliable, and professional. Left Power.
Your solution is just one tap away.
Available on Play Store and App Store. This week on the Career Trail.
Why should anyone listen to this conversation?
Make me know what people say.
I wasn't born in a marriage. I had not even spoken to him for even more than 5 minutes before. I cried so much as to whether I'll be able to survive in a school. I had no idea. I had a final chance, 3 chances to get this right. If you don't get it right, they'll kick you out of the university. But I had made God a promise that if I pass this pharmacy course, wherever I'm driving, I'll stop the car and I'll prostrate on the road. Sat the exam. The day I went to the exam room, it was full of year 2 students doing research. I was the only 3rd-year student.
If we ever settle down, I will never let you down. You will always wear my pride.
In a world where truth is contested, platforms are powerful, and democracy is under pressure, what shapes the story? The University of Media, Arts and Communication, through its School of Journalism and Media Studies, invites you to the State of Journalism, Media and Communication Conference 2026. Theme: Navigating the Future, Journalism, Media and Communication in a Dynamic World. Join global thought leaders, including the Vice-Chancellor of UNIMAC, Professor Eric Opoku-Mensah, Rector Professor Christiana Hammond, and Professor H.A. Sikankun, Dean of the School of Journalism and Media Studies, Professor Gregory Gonwi, Associate Professor at California State University, Juliet Amwa, Country Director, Emerging Public Leaders, Ghana, Kune Adebajo, Investigations Editor, Professor Abena Enimwa Bain, Dean, School of Information and Communication Studies, University of Ghana, and Ryan Kellett, 2025 Neiman Beckman Klein Fellow at Harvard University, for 2 days of powerful conversations on AI and the future of journalism, journalistic professionalism in Africa, media democracy and civic culture, fact-checking, misinformation and press freedom. Keynote speaker is Professor Christopher Rhodes of Harvard University and columnist with Al Jazeera. The conference chair is UNIMAC Vice-Chancellor, Professor Eric Opoku-Mensah. This virtual conference will take place on the 15th and 16th of July 2026. Be a part of the conversation shaping the future of media.
We were living in one of the pavilion behind. Later that we had this new building. Then we now moved to the new building.
You did a lot. They have come here and asked us, and they have continued our 6-unit classroom building.
A lot has changed. After documentary,